Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Just wipe my glasses off quickly. I have always had a messy desk. I've never made my bed regularly, was never seemed to make it quite into the hamper. And I think my sink without dishes seems a little lonely. From the time I was young, I have struggled. My older sister is quite naturally organized. And my skills are always in a constant state of emergence. As a preschool administrator and a teacher, my desk easily becomes a diverse and inclusive pile of financial reports, licensing records, guitar music I'm learning, a puppet I picked up while I was on vacation, last year's Secret Santa gifts, or coffee mugs, and always books. I run from one task to another so quickly, never quite fully finishing the last task by putting things away. As a teacher, I cared for my own classroom and I wanted the children to have a clean space and an organized space. But my own desk was always covered in an overwhelming number of projects. Being an artist, that meant art supplies, some of which were the children's material. And one day during cleanup time, one of my 4-year-old boys took a bin of markers and went and put it on the ground by my chair. I asked him why he did that, and he looked at me so confused. I asked him again, and he said, "But that's where it goes, Miss Cori. It's always on the floor by your chair." As my life hits higher stress points, my physical space becomes more layered. I have a good friend from college who, to this day, if I call and I share with her that I'm feeling overwhelmed with life or work, she'll always ask, "And how's the current state of your laundry?" I'm so often thinking of all I need to do that I'm never quite here doing what needs to be done. I remember the first time that I read Thich Nhat Hanh's words about washing dishes. It changed my world. These are his words. If while washing dishes, we think only of the cup of tea that awaits us, thus hurrying to get the dishes out of the way as if they were a nuisance, then we are not washing the dishes to wash the dishes. What's more, we are not alive during the time we are washing the dishes. In fact, we are completely incapable of realizing the miracle of life while standing at the sink. If we can't wash the dishes, the chances are we won't be able to drink our tea either. While drinking the cup of tea, we will only be thinking of other things, barely aware of the cup in our hands. Thus, we are sucked away into the future, and we are incapable of actually living 1 minute of life. And that's from Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Miracle of Mindfulness, which I believe is this month's book selection. These words changed my life. You see, I've tried everything. Checklists and planners and cute little organizers. I've set goals for myself. I've promised myself rewards. I've enlisted the help of accountability partners, and none of it has worked. In fact, it has increased my anxiety of doing housework. Because if I leave a task undone for the day that I've committed to, I get provoked to shame. And shame eventually triggers avoidance. But these words were different. These words, they're a call to see the daily tasks we do as a part of life, as necessary tasks that need to be done, but also a part that can heal us. There is a story of the Zen monk, Suzuki Roshi. He's hearing the sound of brooms from the street while he's above in the monastery. And he said, sweeping the path is sweeping the mind. As we become one with the work of our hands or our feet, we become centered. The other day, I was walking by my apartment pool, and our maintenance man was clearing the leaves floating on top of the pool. We have lots of trees that go over it. And I noticed how much work it was. The next day, I came back, and there it was, filled with leaves again. And there he was, cleaning them up. Every day for 5 days straight, I saw him cleaning the leaves on the top of the pool. And every day he had a smile and looked peaceful. When I really started to look at my own presence in my own home, I realized I wasn't mindful. My home had become an extension of my work, and my work was an extension of the desire to produce. And producing was the path I had built towards worthiness. The reason my home was in disarray was that I had habitualized my mind to be constantly producing. I had two ways of being in my home: pushing and collapse. And here's the rub. As hard as I was working, I wasn't feeling worthy. I was feeling disconnected from my own self. At times, the addiction to this need to produce, and by produce, I mean actually bringing my work home, reading a ridiculous stack of books in a short period of time, writing, even hobbies that are meant to bring pleasure. At times, my desire to produce has resulted not only in unrealistic expectations of myself, but sometimes doing outright harm. At one point, I started hearing about self-care. When was that? 10 years ago, it started coming up a lot. And I tried to use this concept, and I interpreted it as resting more and doing things enjoyable for myself. But that didn't help. Self-care became just another thing for me to produce. In order to sweep my mind, I had to let go of the result. Wash the dish simply to enjoy the experience of washing the dish. Being present. Nowhere else to be. Nowhere to go. Nothing to do except feel this dish now. To enjoy the warm water. To feel the bubbles in my hands. To wash the dish. I started observing children in my preschool. And while there are children who may have difficulty cleaning up, in general, the children really enjoy doing work. They don't fret about whether something is done well or right. They enjoy the act of watering the plants, washing off the table, sweeping the floor, and being part of a classroom community. Maria Montessori, she's one of the foremothers of early childhood education. And if you don't know anything about her, she's fascinating. She was a very radical woman. She became a doctor. When women did not become doctors, she really had to fight to do this. And how she got into early childhood education was that when she was doing her preliminary studies where she had to go and observe. One of her places that she worked was like a sanatorium that had a lot of children who at that time were taken out of their homes. And so these would be children who now might be considered on the spectrum. At this point in time, they were not allowed to be with their families. And she found that they were basically kind of put in a dungeon with nothing to do all day long. And so a really important part of what she did with these children that later was taken to be a good thing for children of all ages to do. She included daily tasks as a key part of her educational philosophy. And the activities, they're called practical life skills. And the children do practice pouring, sweeping, washing, and cleaning. And while the activities helped children develop skills to take part in their life with their families, they actually served a spiritual purpose as well in her work. These real world tasks are not just for teaching skills, they were a path to cultivating a sense of self, a connection to the world, and a connection to the child's inner life. Practical life activities give the child a chance to explore their capabilities, build confidence, build a sense of interconnectedness, help the child develop a sense of purpose, a sense of community, and overall, a sense of peace and calm. And to this day, when you walk into a Montessori classroom, you'll see children with child-sized but authentic brooms, dustpans, washcloths, drying racks, and cooking utensils. Practical life grounds the child's being in the classroom. Soji is a Zen word. It's a mindful practice we may use in our daily work of household chores and tidying up. Although household tasks are part of being a human, the completion of the task isn't the focus of the mind. The process of completing the task is mindful practice. So I started doing this. I had read that at Plum Village, a bell is rung throughout the day, a message to stop and be mindful. So I set a bell timer for myself in my home and at work, and I used that as an opportunity to stop my frenzied, productive work and center into a task, caring for my home, cleaning off my desk. And this is what I found. In a sense, this was self-care, but not a bubble bath or a massage. In a way, it was self-parenting, but not in a you need to get it done sort of way. This mindful task practice became a way of nurturing myself, a space grounded into my own private self. The household task becomes a way to find presence. I'm worthy and valuable, not for what I produce, just for living in this moment, enjoying the feel of mopping my floor. Now, this is easier said than done because in reality, we have lots of tasks, and they are tasks that need to be done over and over, like the man cleaning the leaves off the top of the pool. There is no end to the laundry. There is no end to the dishes. There is no end to the leaves in the pool. As soon as you are done, it is often time to do it again. In my preschools, I've also spent a lot of time observing infant rooms where a small group of teachers, usually 2 or 3, may care for as many as 10 babies at once. That is a lot of rocking and feeding and diapering and cleaning up over and over again, all within one day. And then the next day it's repeated over and over. And the very best teachers don't get so caught up with the busyness of accomplishing all of those tasks. They find a way to merge deep connection with the child and themselves as caregivers with the task at hand. So as they're diapering the child, they're using that moment to visually connect, hold the child's foot, coo, really connect. It's so beautiful. But there's an additional aspect of these infant rooms that's just amazing to see. It's the togetherness, the synchronicity of caregivers working together. It is like a symphony. You'll see one preparing a bottle and handing it to another, or one teacher notice a teacher holding a baby who has just spit up and automatically runs to get a cloth underwater to hand to her colleague without them even asking. You'll see one teacher having a challenging moment with a baby, and another teacher gently nod and take over the care of that crying baby without any word. There is interdependence. Care of children, care of adults. There is Sangha, and they figure it all out together. A few weeks ago in a Dharma talk I gave, I mentioned Thich Nhat Hanh's words from his essay, Spirituality in the 21st Century. And he states that Sangha is the most important priority of our time. There is another Zen word for what I just described in the infant room, Samu, work done together in community. Taking care of the Sangha Center for the community is an important task for the development of both the Sangha and the individual. Sangha members will have individual tasks taking care of the physical space or doing yard work. Sangha members are encouraged to work together, one person holding the bag open while the other fills the bag with leaves that have been raked. The mindful work reminds us of our interdependence. And so sometimes when you go to a meditation retreat, it's a week-long retreat, people have time during the day that they're given specific tasks and duties to do. The work, besides reminding us of our interdependence, reminds us of our own humanness. There is no person above sweeping the floor, taking out the garbage, cleaning the toilet. This is really important in our time of ultra convenience. I can pay someone to cook my meals, clean my house, cut my lawn, and even cut my toenail. It is very easy to start to become disconnected from our own lives and our own presence in the world. Soji is a way to reconnect to self. Samu is a way to reconnect to the Sangha. By participating in the care of this space we share, we are reminded that we don't just show up here to receive. We honor our interdependence. this is a place of reciprocity. One of the things that we are working on as a Sangha is building our deeper connections to each other. It's very tempting to choose a place to meditate by looking at the programs on the website and seeing what that place has to offer to ourselves. It takes a shift in thinking to look for how we can serve. And service is active. Now, I've spent many years working and leading nonprofits. And one thing that can happen in a nonprofit where so much of the work is done through boards and committees is it's easy to join those boards and committees with a social purpose in mind, or the purpose of having some decision-making power. It takes a shift of thinking that serving on a board means a commitment to action to support the Sangha, not just speaking up in a meeting. So the tasks in Sangha may be physical tasks, preparing or cleaning up the space. They may be maintenance tasks, or they may be tasks related to our service efforts, marketing, or administration. We're a small organization, Dallas Meditation Center. We only have a few part-time employees. So the impact of our work as Sangha members cannot be overstated. So we're going to try a few things over the next few months. I've had a few conversations with June. First, when it comes time for our announcements, besides highlighting the events where we can come and receive, we're also going to highlight some specific tasks where we can serve. So that might be a staff person or a board member or another member of our community who wants to ask for assistance completing a task for the greater good of the Sangha. And the second thing that we want to try is this mindfulness of work. So at our two on-site Sanghas, the Sunday Awakening Heart and the Tuesday Waking Up group, after the chairs and the cushions are put away, we're going to ask if you're willing to try this practice with us, that we all do one housekeeping task off the weekly list to deepen our own personal mindfulness, to deepen our connection to each other. And then this will also have the added benefit of supporting the work of the center. And those of us who participate in Dharma talks, maybe I can shave off 5 minutes of my story to make sure that time is there. It's an important way to mindfully support the Sangha. So what I'm going to ask for, now it's already, does that say 10 till? No, I'm doing good on time, okay. Is that we group together, groups of 2 or 3, and I have 2 questions for you to discuss. The first is, what's your own experience with daily tasks you push off to the side? And do you have any experience of Soji yourself, using your daily tasks as a way to center in? The second has to do with envisioning Samu within our Dallas Meditation Center community. Do you see that this could be valuable, and how could you see that we could implement it for our own community? I'll give you a few minutes to discuss that, about 10, and then we'll reconvene.